if I don't go and make a ton of money, I can't give a ton of money away.
Yeah.
And I can't be ultimately happy. And I know that like learning how that whole cycle works, when everything's going good for me, it's because I'm busting my ass and I'm taking care of those that I love.
So welcome to the podcast. I have Jason Hershey, one of my favorite people on my left, and I got one of my other favorite people on my straight ahead of me, Mr.
On my straight,
Mr. Rodger Jessop. So I've known Rodger for a few years, but the way that I've known Rodger is I was living in Farmington, Utah, and I was looking to buy a home, and I got paired with a real estate agent to look at buying a house, and the real estate agent. Basically, I told her, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. And then she went and found A, B, and C. Like, she found the exact opposite of what I wanted. I'm like, are you freaking... I was just very like, what am I doing with this chick? She doesn't know what she's doing. But I would work out at the gym every day, and I'd see this guy lifting biceps religiously. But no, I just saw this guy that had like a flyer everywhere, and it was like, Rodger Jessop, Remax, and something. But I also saw that he was... would do these giveaways on Instagram. And he I was like, this guy seems like... He sells a lot of houses. He does super well. And so I just hit him up and then bought my first home through Rodger. How many homes have I bought from you?
Let's see, Syracuse, Farmington, St. George. Was there one in between?
3. But you sold and bought Syracuse.
Yeah. It felt like 6.
Yeah, sold and bought
yeah.
Farmington within like 6 months, and then and now St. George. But Rodger's one of those guys that's given me like an above and beyond experience when buying a home. So like I bought my home, totally took care of me, but like something that sticks out to me was we were going to Daisha's friend Allie's birthday, like 21st birthday down in Vegas, and there was like probably 10 of us going down there to party and have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And he just called me or texted me and said, hey, you're going to go to Javier's tonight at 7:30 p.m. I got a reservation for all of you guys. Dinner's on me. Just like, and totally unexpected. And then we all went there. I've never even heard of Javier's. It's now my favorite spot in Vegas. Like, yeah. It's a really good spot.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, dude, this dude just makes me feel like $1 million, And so that's why I've, always been, I kind of like shout your name from the rooftops, just being like, if you're going to work with somebody, you need to work with Rodger, because no one's going to give you a better experience than he is. And so thanks. I just admire the way that you've been able to strategically probably get my loyalty. I'm sure that's
yeah.
Just like another example is I show up to do this podcast. He bought my son. He went to the Masters and bought my son a polo from the Masters. Just very thoughtful and very cool. So that's
Thank
a little
you.
introduction
that means a lot
to Rodger. So glad that you're here.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah. You do a killer job in real estate. Talk to me a little bit about give us a little bit of introduction about yourself, like married, kids.
Yeah. Yep. So married to my high school sweetheart. We started dating when she turned 16. I asked her to be my girlfriend. So let's see, we've been together for 20.
On the day she turned 16, you asked her?
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, gave her a birthday gift. That's what I do. I give gifts. I buy my friends and my wife. So we've been together for 20 years. Married for 16 years, and have 2 kids, a daughter named Eleanor, she's 6, a son named Jack, he's 4. So family man. I got into the business, into real estate. I started following, so my dad got his real estate license 2 years before I did. So I was 16 when he got his license, and he was the rookie of the year, which is kind of like an award for like the first, your very first year in real estate, selling a lot of houses and doing, a certain amount of things compared to other agents that started in the business, which is easy because you only have to sell like 8 houses. I'm just kidding. But so he started taking me to these Mike Ferry coaching seminars, and Mike Ferry's an older guy now, but has done real estate coaching for a long time. And I remember going and being invited to go and watch these seminars in real estate when I was 16, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. Yeah. Like, so the thing that really triggered me that I remember like very vividly is he has a panel of top producers. So he'll bring out a panel of 6 agents from around the U.S. that are doing something more than what other agents are doing. Because in Utah, the number right now is probably 19,000, give or take, agents, real estate agents in the state of Utah. They're licensed. And really 0.5 to 1% are doing all of the business. Your average agent sells 4 to 6 homes a year. But I remember looking at this panel as a 16-year-old going, I want to be up there. Like, I want to be that guy. Just, they talk about their story, you know, just like I am talking now about what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what they do on a daily basis and how they beat it and what they do. And I just knew that, like, this was my industry. I was going to do this.
Yeah.
So when I was 17, I did all of my real estate school. You have to be 18 to get your license. And I think the day or two after my 18th birthday, I took my test and became an agent.
Were you like competitive with your dad?
Yeah, like it's barely getting to the point where like we get along when it comes to real estate.
So he's still doing it.
Oh yeah, he still does real estate, and actually now he kind of works with me. I've kind of brought him back on as like not really a buyer's agent, because I don't want to sound like condescending to him at all, but like he handles some of the overflow that I've got, which has been really cool. But I started out with him and learning from him because he was, you know, a top producer in our office. And a top producer in Utah, really. So, you know, yeah, when I got my license, I started with him. And then soon after I got my real estate license, we had the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was licensed in 2005. Things were hot. Everybody could get a loan. You had a pulse. You could get a loan. In fact, I bought my first home when I was 19. I went under contract when I was 19, and then closed on it sometime close to around when I was 20, and then the market crashed right after. So that was some scary times.
Yeah,
for sure.
How'd you navigate that? Because if there's 19,000 agents now, mm-hmm. I'm sure if there's 19 agents in 2007, mm-hmm. there's probably a lot less.
Oh yeah,
2009,
it dropped.
Right?
Oh, it dropped like crazy. And I mean, even now, like last year when I would talk about how many agents are in the state of Utah, it was 27,000.
So 8,000 have dropped.
Yes, since just any of the tumultuous things that are happening in the real estate industry. That going through that market crash at the age that I did was one of the big things that changed my real estate career, because I remember owning this new house, getting married to my wife, and I literally, the way that I got my loan, because I was a new agent. I mean, we know as business owners, getting a loan as a business owner is really tough. So I was a new business owner, and my only job before being a real estate agent was I was a bagger at Smith's. Like seriously, I was getting paid, you know, weekly $200 a week or something. So back then, one of the things that got us into this mess of the crash of 2008 is stated income, stated asset loans. So I went into the lender and I said, hey, I make $100,000 in real estate a year. And they'd say, yep, we believe you. I mean, that was really how it went.
Makes sense.
So I had a 6.75% interest rate with a 9% interest only second for my down payment. And I think my payment, because I bought the home in Kaysville for about $170,000. My payment was somewhere around $1,300 a month. And it had probably been a good 3 to 4 months before getting a paycheck after that crash where nobody was doing anything. And I remember having this like come to Jesus with myself and my wife, where we were like, what do we do? She had a job at the time, but wasn't really making that much money. You know, we had no money in the bank account. We had a little bit of savings, but I remember our mortgage was coming due. We didn't have any money. And I basically was either going to go work with my mom's new boyfriend, who had just opened a restaurant that was like an In-N-Out before In-N-Out came to Utah. And I was going to go manage it. It was like, I've got to do something different because I'm not going to make it. Yeah. Like, this is not going to happen. Or I'm going to bust my ass for the next 2 weeks. And if I don't get something positive that happens in real estate, I'm out. And I think that next 2 weeks, I probably got like 3 or 4 listings, got a new buyer. I mean, I was fight or flight. Like it was tough. That is still something that's inside of me. And that's 15 years past. That still drives me today. And I wouldn't say that it's like a scare, but it's just one of those things where it's like, no one's going to come and help you. I remember feeling that like I've got to do this. And that was like where I'm like, okay, this is real life now. I got to go work hard.
So what was working hard? What'd that mean?
Prospecting, picking up the phones, calling for sell by owners, expireds, going and have conversations, knocking doors, anything.
Whatever you could do just to get
clawing, anything. Hear somebody at the grocery store talking about real estate and going and have a conversation. I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah. How long did it last? Like how long was it like that?
How long was it a struggle?
Yeah. Was it like years? Was it?
Yeah, for sure. 2012 probably to 2013. I mean, it was 5 years of hustling of what I would call scrubbing toilets. I mean, it was tough. And even then, like, so I'd get a listing, but then what?
There was no buyers.
Is anybody going to buy my listing? You know, I mean, it's funny, like right now, like a lot of realtors are like, oh my gosh, this market's tough. I'm listing a house and it's not selling in 3 days with multiple offers, you know, but it would be like 250 days that we'd have a home on the market before it would get sold. So being a real estate agent then was like, dude, like it was a numbers game because you didn't know which ones were going to sell and which ones were going to be a paycheck. The buyers were great because they had their pick of the litter. They could go buy whatever they want and get closing costs and whatever it was, but you get a listing. It was really hard.
Yeah. What do you think that taught you? Like, do you think now, because like my objection
to be scared,
be in fear at all times.
Yeah.
My objection every time I talk to you, I'm like, dude, the real estate market's gonna drop or whatever, and it's like you just never. You're just like, yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like always seems to be your attitude, and you always just seem to have an optimistic attitude. And is it because of what happened in 2008, where it's like, even if the worst case scenario does happen, I figured it out then, I can figure it out again? Or
yeah, I mean, it feels like that's a muscle that I've trained, but I would say not only that, but like that is, if you look back at history, that was like the worst time that we've had, right? And even still, so I bought my home, my very first home, at the worst time I could have bought my first home.
What year was that?
That would have been 2007.
I did too.
Yes. Yeah, so you know.
I was in Vegas.
You were in Vegas then. And even still, I sold that home that I bought for $175,000. I sold it 2 years later, which would be the worst time to sell that damn house, right? After the crash, right? I still made $20,000. So I still did well. So like I think the reason I'm not nervous is real estate will always find a way. You know, it always goes up eventually, right? It's just buying and selling at the right and the wrong time.
Yeah.
So I to answer your question, I'm probably not like nervous and scared about it. Oh, when the market's going to crash, because I can't do anything to change it.
Yeah.
Whatever's going to happen out there is going to happen, and I've got to pivot. I mean, we're dealing with shit right now. Yeah, I mean, the NAR stuff, the lawsuits, you know, there's always something. There's always a disruptor. Homie, you know, discount brokerages, whatever it might be, anybody like that is always trying to disrupt the real estate industry. AI might be something that's coming, and it's kind of starting to right now. But this NAR thing, like, there's always something that we got.
Is the NAR the
lawsuit, you know, attacking
the fees that
collusion of agents? Yeah, basically, yeah. So like in Utah, we've always had a buyer broker agreement, which is when you want to buy a house, I sign up an agreement that says, hey, look, I will get paid 3%, and if I can't get it from the listing or from the listing agent who's offering the commission, you will pay my commission.
Yeah.
Well, you as a buyer in a market like this where rates are 7.5%, and you're already spending a lot in closing costs, and you're maxed out on your monthly payment, you going to pay a real estate agent 3%? It's going to be tough.
No.
It's going to be tough.
The seller's going to pay it.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like the rule that came out of that, or, you know, obviously it hasn't gone into place yet. It hasn't gone into effect. But what's likely going to happen is the local MLS, which is where we list the homes for sale as real estate agents that we belong to, the board that we belong to, you will no longer be able to offer compensation to a buyer's agent. But you're still going to want to. I had this conversation with a listing that I just took maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're like, you know, so do we have to pay a buyer's agent's commission, you know, when we list? And I said, well, no, you never have. And that's the truth. You've never had to pay a buyer's agent's commission. When Homey or other discount brokerages have listed homes for sale, sometimes the commission on a $1 million property is only $5,000. Well, that's not 3%. Commissions have always been negotiable. But this part of me thinks that this will be a good thing because it's going to be completely clear on what the sellers are doing and what they're paying. But when I went to the seller and she said, do I have to pay a buyer's agent's commission? I said, well, no. But you also don't have to price the home where it's going to sell. I would suggest you do if you want to sell this house. But I'd also suggest that you save some money or put some money aside to enlist every real estate agent out there to help us sell this house.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to do that? If that's going to help you get the top dollar and get you the most money in your pocket, why would you not want to do that? It's the same when you're selling a car. You go to sell a car, man, I can't sell a car myself. Have you guys put a car on KSL before or anything like that? I suck at it. I'm not good. So like anytime I'm more happy to trade in the car and lose $5,000 and not even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Or I've got a couple of friends that want a little side hustle and they'll answer the calls. So for me, like that's going to be the easy part. The hard part will be how every other real estate agent handles it.
Yeah.
So there's always disruptors. That's my point. There's always a disruptor out there. You have to be ready to pivot. And I think that's the case in most sales world. There's always going to be something that you're dealing with, some battle, right? Solar, you've got like differences on commissions, or what have you guys dealt with? Kilowatts changes and stuff like that? I don't even know, but
yeah, a lot of the solar like disruption, it comes from like the net metering with the power companies raising or lowering rates, the financing fees.
So what's one you've dealt with in the last year? What's a good disruptor?
In the last couple of years, the big disruptor has been the fees on the loans have almost doubled. So like the origination fees.
Got it.
And so it's caused an inflation of price, which makes it harder to sell.
So how have you guys battled that?
We just keep pushing forward. I don't know.
I think the thing that really hurts salespeople regarding this topic is they think that it's now unsellable, and like they trick themselves to think that I can't sell this now, and it's like you're always like, have you ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh yeah, great book.
Like always focusing on it used to be this way, It's like, yeah, but it's not. The cheese is gone. Yeah. So let's go find the cheese, and it's like this is still sellable. It's maybe not as appealing as it was at a 0.99% at the dealer fee to be way lower.
But the customers buying now don't know that they could have got it at 0.99%.
No.
So it doesn't even matter.
No, they don't care. And you know what? Other real estate agents do the same thing. Yeah. So this NAR thing is going to get a lot of agents out of the business because they think that we're screwed. And they did the same thing when other cut rate brokerages come in and try and disrupt the real estate market. Good for, more for me and you, right? Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how it is.
And me and River's way of solving it every time is like, all right, well, I guess we need to get back out there and show her when it can be sold. And so we just go dig in and
it's no different.
River sells the most. I always sell the second most. We call it a day.
Leaderboard.
Jordan, Pippen.
I love it. But I think it's the same thing in any industry. There's always going to be something.
Do you feel like you have a naturally optimistic mindset towards things?
100%.
Really? You don't have to, like, it's not at first negative and you got to work yourself through it. You're just like, it'll be all right.
No, it's not like it'll be all right, because like I have the same panicky thoughts that I think most people do. But I've been through some things as a kid that probably made me find the good in anything.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very thankful for that, because that's a very, very valuable lesson to learn, is that there's always a door that opens.
Yeah.
You've got something that closes. There's always something that, that's going to be positive. There's silver linings.
What are some things that have taught you that?
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Let's talk about your childhood trauma.
Yeah, it's bad. So this would be a good time to pause the podcast. When I was like 8 or 9, I was molested. In one of my neighborhoods, that happened. And that was tough. That was not good. But I think I look back at that, and it wasn't probably until I was maybe like 23. So this is after I've been married, that I like actually started dealing with it and talking about it.
Yeah.
And, for me, working through some of that mentally, and it was by myself. I never really went to therapy for it. And kind of going back, my parents got divorced when I was 12. So I had a lot of things that were like changing my path.
Yeah.
And I don't, not saying that my parents weren't there for me. I didn't feel like I had that. Like I didn't feel like I had that to go to and have real conversations.
When your parents get divorced, because I was about the same age, it's like they're out trying to figure out their new life, and it leaves you. I know what you're meaning.
Yeah.
I'm You're kind of like,
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, for me, like my parents got divorced when I was 12. And it felt like that was like the first time they even ever fought. Like I never noticed that there was even anything bad going on. And I still would like, we don't really talk about it. I don't know if your parents are the same way, but like I feel like their generation doesn't talk about much. At least my parents don't. And so like I just didn't feel like they were ready to have conversations about it. I didn't feel like I was safe to go to them with it, whether I was embarrassed or whatever it might be, because that definitely happens. But when they got divorced, when I was 12, they both got remarried within the same year of the divorce. So then instantly I had 2 new stepsisters, which I'd never had. It was just me and my older brother, originally. So instantly I had 2 new stepsisters. And then within that same year,
and 2 new step parents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was hard to navigate. And then my dad and my stepmom had a baby. So now I have a half sister coming. So there was chaos, for me. And it forced me to kind of grow up really quick. But looking back, I didn't handle it well at the time. I was a little bit of a crazy kid. I started drinking, smoking, doing all that at 12, 13. Pierced my own nipples with a safety pin. Pierced my tongue with a safety pin. Had long black hair. I was in a band. I mean, I was doing all this stuff, right? That, was not really a great path. But then I kind of got reeled back in when I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife, which was great. She was definitely, my rock through all of that. But looking back at that, when I was 23 and I started kind of soul searching and deciding really who do I want to be and what do I want to do, I was able to kind of just look at things and just say, okay, like what's the worst thing that has happened to me in my life? And, I go back to that, being a boy at 8 and having those issues and where can I find the good in that? What good has come from something that is so terrible? Mm-hmm. And if I can find good and be thankful for that guy that did that to me, I can be okay in any situation.
Right.
And so once I realized that, it's almost like my superpower.
Yeah.
Like for me to, and whether you call it tricking yourself, which I do.
Yeah.
I literally trick myself into thinking a different way.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. And even in bad situations, I can find the happiness. And I know that there's always going to be something good that comes of it.
Yeah. What good came from that?
That's a great question. For me, I definitely can say like any child molesting jokes or like rape jokes and feel okay about it because it happened to me.
Get the pass.
That's the pass, bro. It's the ultimate pass. It's the mic drop. No, I'm kidding. I think you go through like a really rough life experience like that, you can relate to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Being hurt like that and helpless as a young kid. I think you can be, I've had the opportunities to be a positive coach for people that have gone through that, which has been really cool for me. So that's definitely a positive that's come from that. But also like the ability to find good in anybody. I mean, if I ran into the guy, which I have actually, I've seen him around, and if there was an opportunity to have a conversation, I would thank him for sure. Which sounds absolutely crazy, but it's absolutely made me who I am. I can relate to so many more people, and I've been through enough things to where it's like, life has been bad for me. It's been awful. Yeah. And it still affects me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm still there. 100%. And there's weirdness that will always come from that. But to be able to relate to more people, I feel like it's good for my relationships.
Yeah.
My relationships where I can connect with people and say, look, I hear you. I've been through stuff myself and be relatable.
Yeah.
To the ones that I actually want to share it with.
Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah. Is it always easier for you to be like, not like vulnerable in a negative sense, but vulnerable and being like, hey, I'm willing to like, be in a space where we're talking about it. Like, how long did it take you to kind of get to a place where you're like?
A long time. I mean, it took me, let's see, it probably took me a good 8 to 10 years from when I was 23 and I kind of started like looking into myself and understand it, because it's still, I don't know, there's still like a level of embarrassment that comes from it.
Yeah.
I can't really explain it. But you question things,
Yeah,
you know.
shame.
Shame. And
even though you did nothing.
And I don't want, you know, like my parents to feel bad. I don't want that, you know, and I don't want people to change my outlook. Like I've told, there's not many people that I've told, honestly. Like the fact that I'm saying it on this podcast is a little bit weird, but certain people that I've talked to, you know, want to be the hero and, oh, let's go after him, which I'm not interested in. Right. I'm not interested in any of that because, right. You know, it's not where my head goes. Yeah.
At what point in your real estate career did you stop hustling and start like, because the way that I view you, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is you don't do a lot of door knocking. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of got an inbox and an outbox.
Yeah.
At what age did that start to happen?
I would say it's a great question too. 30, probably when I was 30. So 6 years ago. So that would have been, 12 years into my career?
Yeah. Because the way most real estate agents work, without me being an agent, from my understanding is it's like you get lead lists, you call the lead list, you're knocking doors, you're just doing whatever you can to get business. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, from what I understand about you, it's all about referrals. It's all about social media marketing and attracting people to your business. How did you build that? Because it's one thing to say it and be like, yeah, I want to do that. It's like, okay, but nobody's calling. So what do you do? So how did you build that? And like, what's your philosophy behind your business, like running your business that way?
Yeah. So when I started in real estate, you know, I kind of worked under my dad's umbrella, and then, you know, the market change, there was an opportunity where a couple of the top agents in our office all got together and formed a team. And I was like the buyer's agent for that team. And when you're like an understudy or, you're being mentored or you're a buyer's agent, typically you're not getting all of your commission. You know, you're getting a small portion. Yeah. A small portion of the commission, and you're hustling, but you're getting fed more leads. So that happened, and then the market started getting good, and then, you know, egos got involved and the agents kind of split off. And there was actually a dividing time where you know, there were 3 agents that were top producers, and then basically me. There was maybe another buyer's agent. And I remember when everybody was going their separate ways, and my dad was like, okay, like, are you coming with me? And this other agent was like, are you coming with me? Like, I'll take care of you too. And there was a time where I was like, man, what do I do? Because I don't want to hurt my dad's feelings and not go with him. But like, you know, sometimes my dad would cherry pick things and not give everything. And, you know, there was just a little, well, there wasn't bad blood, but I was like, you know, I kind of need to just go my own path and go figure this out for myself. So I took this pivot and decided to go work with this other real estate agent and kind of partner up with him and be his buyer's agent. And he was just like, I don't even want to talk to a buyer. That was his mentality. So at that moment, I decided that, okay, instead of doing my own thing as a real estate agent and making 100% of the commission, but doing maybe 10 to 20 transactions and getting paid more, I would make more money at the time. I decided I'm going to work with this guy and get paid less, but like get a smaller piece of the pie, but I'm going to be baking a shit ton more pies. Yep. And the reason that's great is because what I was doing for those 6 years while I was with this guy is I was building my pipeline. Yeah. I was taking such good care of those clients. And this was the time where we were short selling properties. If anybody doesn't know what a short sell is, it's, you know, the market had crashed. Homeowner owed $300,000 on their house, but they could only sell it for $225,000. So they were shorting the bank $75,000. So we would have to go work with an asset manager at the bank, try and negotiate a sales price, get a buyer in there and sell it and short the bank the amount and still get paid a commission. We weren't always getting paid full commissions. There were times where I would do the sell for $0. And I would come to the closing table and seller would be crying because they would have to sometimes bring money to the table to close. And they had no idea what they were going to do. They were going to go rent. People were losing their houses. I mean, it was a wild time. But the reason I was doing that is because, again, I was trying to see the forest through the trees and say, okay, where is this going to put me in 15 years, 10 years, when I've taken really, really good care of these people? Are they going to come back to me? And it's a little bit of like blind faith, you know, like, hey, like I'm going to really take care of these people and let's see if I can build this pipeline. So that's what I decided to do. And I would have haters along the way, other real estate agents saying, what are you doing? You are not making.
This is just in your own mind, or
Yeah.
like some mentor was like,
No,
hey,
in
you
my
should
own
do
mind.
this. You're just
No.
like,
No, it was just
kind
in my
of
own
very,
mind.
very wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm very lucky because, like, I mean, there were several times where I was like, you're right. I'm going to break off. I'm going to break off now. And maybe I was scared. I mean, that's probably part of it too. I mean, I'm not going to just say I was this freaking wise person, this wise wizard for my age, but dude, I was probably scared too. Because I mean, I still remember how I felt in 2008, and having just like a buddy was a little bit of a security blanket.
Yeah.
But when I started realizing, oh, okay, like these other agents, these top producing agents, they reinvent the wheel every single day. They are the guys that follow the, hey, dial your calls. It's a numbers game. Go sell as many as you can and go on to the next one. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be dialing and, door knocking the rest of my life. I want to take really, really good care of these people. And then I want them to come to me.
Yeah.
To where they would feel like, hey, I've got to work with Rodger.
Yeah.
Because he does such a good job and he actually cares about my best interest.
Yeah.
So that was what I was trying to do with all these people, is really, really take care of them, show them some really good customer service. And once I did that, and then I started out producing this agent, we actually formed a team where it was a partnership.
Yeah.
So anything I would sell or anything he would sell, we'd split right down the middle at 50-50, no matter what. We didn't look over our shoulder. Whatever I bring in, he brings stuff in, all goes into a bucket. We split it 50-50. I think the last year I did that, I probably sold like 70 homes and he sold like 15. And I was like, well, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. So we split up, and that's when I started going my separate way. But that's how I did it. That's how I got there.
That was like right when I met you, right?
Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yep. Exactly.
So what, do you have like a system to take care of people? Like, you're so, like, I'm not joking. You're like, dude, he's bought my son Yeezys, bought me the shirt. He, just like there's, I can't even name all the stuff that he's, just very, like when Daisha, we had our son, he brings us over this huge thing of sushi and just is like, I don't know, just very, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how's this, like, I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
No,
like,
you are.
I'm just me. Like, how the hell does this guy have this much time? Like, to just like, I'm like, this guy's, he bought a red truck. Is that because he thinks he's Santa? Like, what is going on?
The modern day Santa.
I know, just driving around giving gifts. But anyway, my question is like, how do you manage all that mentally? And like, what, do you have like a system? Is it more just intuitive? Is it like
intuitive?
Like,
I don't have a system for it at all. I'm the happiest when I'm giving.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned about myself is, and my mom tells me this story all the time. I remember I only remember because she tells me all the time. I think she has Alzheimer's because she tells me almost once a month. Do you remember when you did this? But there was a time where I was going to a school auction, and Fisher, Todd, and Aaron was like a Kissin' 97 or something like that. They were radio DJs, in our local area. And I remember Scott Fisher was there, and he was talking about winning. I don't know the amount at the time, but like, I just gave away somebody, $10,000. They won the grand prize, and he came up to me and told me that. Wouldn't you like to be the guy that wins that $10,000? What would you do with the money? I'm like, I would rather be the one giving it. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. But I think just I've always just had a lot of happiness and gratification when I do something for others or when I give something to somebody. Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, it's not all like rainbows and puppies. Like I get questioned that like I've got ulterior motives and that like I'm a kiss ass. I mean, I've heard that all my life, and but like I know me. I know why I'm doing it. It's not so I can get something from you. It's just what makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, I thought when you're like, oh, here's a gift. I was like, oh, okay, I've never bought a home before. That's just the process. But they just kept on coming. I'm like, guys, relentless.
I just really want to be your friend. I don't have many friends, and I need one. So
I know how much you paid for that first house. I don't know how much more Rodger can afford to give you.
It's true. It was not a big one. That's funny. Yeah. For me, dude, honestly, like it's just, I don't know if it's innate. It's just something that I've always just found.
Well, let me tell you the effect that it's had on our organization and on my life. So, I've really I'm not joking. Like it's made me feel like really awesome, right? And so I'm like, okay, who's my customer? My customer, in my opinion, is our sales reps. It's our sales managers. It's the people that work with us. So I've tried to do the same thing. I'm probably not as good at it as you are, but like I constantly try to give, and I feel like I've done that for the past multiple years. But what's interesting now is now everybody does it. Like I'll get gifts, he'll get gifts, he'll give me gifts. Like it's like, dude, it's like all the time. It's like a big gift exchange, and
that's awesome.
It's not because of me, it's because of like the things that I saw you doing, and I was like, I'll just mirror and match that because I think it's good. And now everybody else, not everybody, but a lot of people are mirror and matching. It's like,
dude, that's awesome.
You know, he bought me this hat. You know what I mean?
I actually didn't.
Kind of.
I bought you that hat, and then you bought it, so I gave the one I bought.
There was
to
a
Zach.
sale.
That's true.
I sent him a picture. I'm like, hey, I bought you this. Next day he showed up, and I'm like, I just told you I bought you that.
Right. But he did buy me
that hat.
The same hat.
What is the upside down LA? Because I'm a huge Dodger fan, but what is the upside down LA?
Swaggy.
Hell yeah.
It's like
I know what we're buying you.
Yeah, I love the
I don't
Dodgers.
know. I just think
I've always wondered. I'm like,
everything
I am
cool
not
is upside down.
Oh shit.
I've
been doing this all wrong.
I Googled it, and it was like, but I didn't really understand what it was saying. So I was like, I just like the hats. Another guy we work with has been rocking one for a while, and then I went to Vegas and I saw him, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I bought an all cream one.
Hell yeah, I love it.
And then I bought that one for River, and I don't know. To me, everyone I see wearing it's super swaggy, so I'm like, oh, it must be a cool thing.
Yeah. I want to do that too.
I think there is some meaning. I think LA is basically saying like we're the best team or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
which is you're a Dodgers fan, so you'll agree with.
Dodger fan. Yeah, yeah.
We're going to a Dodgers game on
Thursday night.
Friday
night.
Are they at home?
No, we're going to LA.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be down there with a bunch of our guys.
Who are they playing?
Yeah.
Who cares? That's awesome, dude. I love the Dodgers.
Do you really?
Yeah. When I asked my wife to marry me, we stayed at my grandma's house, who's now passed away, but she had a home in Long Beach. We went to 3 Dodgers games during that trip, and then I took her on a helicopter ride to Catalina Island, and then I asked her on my grandma's beach, like where we grew up, swimming, and which I realized I totally fucked myself because no matter what I do now, it never lives up to that moment because that's how we started it. But yeah, dude, I'm a huge Dodger fan.
The Braves.
Oh, cool.
They're playing the Braves.
Oh, it'll be fun, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you guys.
Go get a Dodger dog.
Yeah, dude, they're the best. I don't even like hot dogs. I have to eat them sideways because I'm so straight, but.
Right. Gotcha. Week, done.
Dude, I want to tell you how much that means to me because I was actually attending the Limitless event that my friend Keaton Hoskins puts on, The Muscle. Uh-huh. And he had Ed Milet on there and a bunch of other speakers, which, God, I love Ed Milet. He was so amazing. He was awesome. So if you guys don't follow him or listen to any of his stuff, man, just give yourself a minute or two to listen to him. But Dave, my brother-in-law, Dave Sparks, who's Heavy D on the Diesel Brothers, he spoke, and he had Tony Robbins make him this video. And it was just to Dave because, Tony was maybe going to come, but he couldn't come or whatever. And so he sent my brother-in-law this video. He actually got a chance to meet Tony Robbins, which is cool, and he flew him in his helicopter. And Tony's 4 or 5 minute talk was about planting seeds. So like he was talking about even if you go and do one small thing for somebody, you never know how much it can change many people's lives. So like the fact that you did that like you're saying that even comes remotely from me, dude, that's the best compliment I could get. That tells me that I'm doing something right because then it changes your out course. It might change your family. It might change your son. Your son might see you giving. I mean, just anything like that. Like thank you. That like means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like a huge part of our culture. Like I think there's a lot of cultures, sales cultures, and some they're just different. And I think that's what makes ours unique. Is we're all about the team. We're all about like giving and being generous, and I think it's a huge reason why I think we're successful. And why people are loyal to staying here, which is a huge problem in the sales industry, because people are constantly, oh, you can make $1 here more. It's like there's a soul behind it, not just money.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on money? Because like, to constantly be giving, you have to be pretty damn sure more is coming in. Maybe you don't, but it's like, how do you ever get into scarcity? How do you view money?
I did 100%. I mean, you go through a market crash. Absolutely. That's all that's driving you is scarcity. But I realize there's no happiness in that. In fact, dude, some of the stuff that you've said, with, talking about, the law of abundance.
Yeah.
Like, I never started looking into the law of abundance until you started preaching it so much. So, I mean, one thing that you talk about, like I started looking into, but I truly believe that. Like, I believe that, giving away, like, I have never regretted anything I've given.
Yeah.
Ever. Even if it was a loan and I didn't get paid back and I was angry about it a little bit, I've never regretted it. Right. So, for me, no. I make enough money to where like I don't have to think about it, like giving little things away. I'll always do it while I can. And that's honestly, this is gonna sound really cheesy and corny, and a lot of people won't believe me because I've dealt with this all my life. But dude, one of my biggest drivers, like my why. It used to be like, oh, I want to make $1 million in real estate, like in 1 year. I want to sell 100 houses, which, I went and did all those. And for me now, like my why is because if I push, and the kind of two parts, if I don't use the talents that I have wisely, like if I don't push myself constantly, because I know I have good talents to work with people and I know I can do really well in real estate, I feel like I'm wasting what I've been given. Yeah. And I'm letting a lot of people down. Yeah. Because if I don't go and make a ton of money, I can't give a ton of money away. Yeah. And I can't be ultimately happy. And I know that like learning how that whole cycle works is why it works. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, for me, that's where when everything's going good for me, it's because I'm busting my ass and I'm taking care of those that I love.
I love that.
Period. Yeah.
It reminds me of Casey Baugh talks about, he just says, we grow more to give more. Yeah. And it's so true. It's like we can't draw from an empty well. And it's like we can be the nicest person in the world, but if you go give $1 away, that's not really going to make an impact. It's like if we want to make a big impact, we have to be super successful. And like I've thought about this a lot a few months ago of like being successful is super selfless. Actually, because people I think oftentimes are like, well, you work a lot or you don't spend a lot of time at home, maybe as much as other people. It's like, but the people that are sitting at home playing video games and not really trying to push themselves. Not that there's anything wrong with video games, but they're not really trying to push themselves. That to me is the most selfish. Yeah. Because all you're thinking about is you, and you want to be entertained, and it's easy. It's comfortable. But you're not going to be able to impact other people. So like it is, in my opinion, the most selfless thing to do is to make you the best version of you.
Yeah. Because go hit your potential.
Yeah. Go hit your potential. So what does your wife get? Like a gift every morning, or is it just like auto shipped, or like talk to me about like your family and like, and taking care of your family. Cause it's like anybody who's been married, how long you been married? 20?
Oh,
Grandpa Hershey.
You're gonna get him in trouble.
16 years.
Do the math quick. Can you cut this?
16 years. Going on 16 years.
And you've been married for how long?
20
years. It's like anybody who's been married, because the divorce rate is what, like over 50% of marriages end in divorce. Yeah. And
I think it's higher in Utah, right? I think it is.
Probably.
Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Because they marry 4. But it's like,
speaking of Jessop.
Yeah, I know. Real quick. Do you know what my name is? It's Rodger Warren Jessop. Tell me that doesn't sound.
Tell me
like
you're not from Colorado City.
I know. I'm actually not tied to any of it.
No way.
At
I
all.
thought for sure.
At all. But it feels like it. I've gone up and down.
But I have the desire.
I understand. I get it 100%.
Speaking of trauma, you're like, God, I missed the boat.
My aunt is big into genealogy, and that's, I've asked that several times. I'm like, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure? Why is my name the way it is?
I'm 1% North African, just so you know. 23andMe.
Hell yeah. I've got to do
But I drive a big truck, so it wasn't allocated.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a gynecologist and a genealogist?
Zach literally texted me this question yesterday, or
really?
a couple days ago. I don't remember the answer to that.
A genealogist is always looking at the family tree. A gynecologist is looking at the family bush.
That's what it was.
But I'm not related. I'm not related to the Big Daddy Jessops. But sorry, go ahead.
Disappointing.
The Southern Utah Jessops.
Yeah, I bet I could get in 100%. I could get into that gate if I needed to.
I don't know. They probably wouldn't let you in. Take all the women.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be after him. Hide your
Somebody
kids,
eat the
hide
hot
your
dog
moms.
left to right.
Hide your braids.
Come in. But no, my question was, is success leaves clues, and it's like, obviously you're doing something, correct to be married for 20 years. What are some like the rituals and habits that you have inside of your family, inside of your marriage that you found to like create because we were talking earlier before this, I was like, how are things going? You're like, dude, things are firing on all cylinders. Like, my wife and I are doing awesome. The kids are doing great. Like that, most people don't have that. It's like, it's chaos. It's, wife and, husband are fighting. So what have you found to do? Like, what have you found to create that? Not that things are always perfect, but.
Yeah. We've been together more than half of our lives. So we know each other.
So crazy.
Dude, I know. It is wild. I remember when we hit that benchmark, and it was nuts to kind of go back and look at. But we know each other really well. I mean, she's honestly my best friend.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's society, if it's like a guy thing where that's kind of like even weird to say, which I think is super annoying. But she is my best friend. Yeah. And I've always reminded myself of that. I'm not tricking myself to think that my wife is my best friend, but it's an affirmation that I put out there and I say it to her often because that's what I want.
Yeah.
And whether, dude, I'm telling you right now, when I decided to marry her at 20, she wasn't my best friend.
Yeah.
And I didn't love her the way I love her now.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to say those things out loud and they will become what you want them to become. But part of that is she is my best friend. When I go on guys trips, I'm really like, shit, Courtney would really be fun here. And that's just what I've always told myself and what I know to be true. And she has become that, and she is that. But because we've known each other for such a long time, man, we communicate really, really well. When we were 20, we got married in the temple, in the LDS temple. We were, raised LDS. I went on a mission for 3 days. Hell yeah. Nice. I made it 3 days.
Let's go.
And came home. When we got married in the temple, we just weren't the same people that we are today, obviously. I think my wife says it was when we were 23, but I think it was more like when we were 24. But we kind of just had this, I came to her and I said, look, I really want to decide how we want to live the rest of our lives. Like, this is now just me and you. And, soon it'll be me, you, and a kid or the kids or whatever we decide to do. Let's dive into this together. Let's really go look and see, okay, how do we want to live the rest of our lives and what do we want to teach our kids? And we took 2-3 years to decide, the LDS church is great, but it wasn't for us. And, and to have that realization and communicate it openly, that's just kind of how I've always handled things with her and she has with me, to where we're trying to be on the same page and talk through things. So anytime other things that come up, they seem just so small compared to other things we've gone through. She's had a crazy family story, which would be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
And so have I. We come from some broken homes. A lot of love in those homes and a lot of, great relationships still in those homes, but we've come from broken situations. So being each other's rock has absolutely helped us, be to where we are today. But yeah, communication for sure. And putting her before anybody else.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. She constantly reminds me that like I'm not putting her first. You know, so like I think it's just something that happens. So like I'm not the perfect person for sure, and like things change. But I'm doing my best, and I'm really trying. I'm trying my hardest to do that, and like think, okay, in this situation, how would she feel? You know, whatever it might be, whatever we're dealing with. But then also that instills that into our kids. And one thing, like, okay, here's a good example of how I felt like I was not being a good dad is. I go to work. I wake up at 6 a.m. I go to the gym. I come home, shower, breakfast, cold plunge, sauna, whatever it might be, get my day started. And then I'm working, and sometimes it's into the late night. Like I might be working, showing homes, doing all that until 5, maybe 6, maybe I have a 7 o'clock appointment. So I definitely work later in the day. And then I get home, and my phone still might be ringing or text messages because I've got people following up for me that couldn't answer during the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm exhausted at that time. And one thing I wasn't doing good as a father is I was letting her put the kids to bed, which our kids are awful when it comes to bedtime. They have this whole routine where we have to lay with them and do this whole thing. And like it's getting better, but to the point I realized, you know, I constantly am trying to find out, okay, what can I do better? And it's all about like, how can I reach my potential as a father? How can I reach my potential as a husband? How can I reach my potential as a businessman or as a friend, whatever it might be? Like I'm
Max
always
bicep curl.
I stopped doing that. Working on my legs.
So insecure. You're just like doing them in the mirror.
But for me, like I was like, oh, you know what? I should do bedtime. You've been with the kids all day. Let me do bedtime. And the doors and windows that opens for her to be thanking me for everything I'm doing and constantly finding ways to praise me because she can tell I'm trying to be my best as a dad, a father, whatever it might be. I think that's the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. We were golfing in San Paulo, mm-hmm. and we were talking about this, and your basically advice to me was don't be the asshole. That's what you said. You're like just because you work hard and you like you're making money or whatever, like don't use that as being like, well, I'm not gonna do that because I make the money.
Yeah.
That was your advice to me, you know? It's like,
and you know why? I've seen people go down that
asshole?
road. yeah. Because Daisha texted me.
Hey, will
you tell him this?
Will you tell it to him?
I think I think what you're really saying is like in marriage, you can never get that sense of entitlement of like, oh, like I, whatever, you know,
no.
Like I deserve to not have to put the kids to bed or whatever. Like I did something similar. I decided like earlier this year, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get up and take my daughter to school so my wife can sleep a little bit longer. And there's a lot of days I'm like, damn, why'd I do this? You know, like I want to be in bed still a little bit longer, but it's just like,
what that does is it makes her do the same thing for you on other occasions.
Oh, my wife does 10x what I'll ever
exactly.
do. You know,
exactly. But if you would have done that, if you would have said, well, I make the money, so you need to do this. Yeah. She's going to find there's something you're not doing that she wants you to do as well. There's a lot of things. and then it just becomes this thing.
Yeah. But it's just always trying to look how you can be better. And not being
give.
entitled.
And that's why I say like giving isn't always just gifts. It's giving your time. It's giving, you know, whatever, even though you're tired, I'm still going to do this for you because I care about you. Giving shows people that you care 100%.
Yeah.
And all that does is create them to give back, and it just creates a better relationship.
Yeah. I think what you guys are saying is like, when you're talking about entitlement, I think it's so true with everything in life. Like as soon as we get, like, I believe as soon as you get entitled, you're entitled to making money. You're entitled to good health. You're entitled to a great marriage. And it's like, you get cocky, God or whatever it is.
Slaps you.
And it's like, boom, boom, son. No, sit down. Like, you know, and it'll always, but it's like if we're constantly thinking, I need to earn this every day. I need to earn my marriage. I need to earn the business. Because that's essentially what you're saying is like, I need to earn the business, and I'm going to do it that through giving. I'm going to earn, and that's where you create abundance. But it's also like having a mindset of like, because you come off very unattached, so it's like giving, and it's like not knowing when the seed, so to speak, is gonna. Like, you don't know which time you give is going to...
Giving with no expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Is, like, the key. It's like, yeah, I might spend a bunch of money on this client, or I might give something to this, and they might... Or for us, I might give this manager or rep the best experience I can. I might buy them some shoes. I might do this, and they still might go choose to work somewhere else. And I have to be okay with that. And I shouldn't mistreat them if that happens. And your client may choose to go use another agent. And it's like, you can't hinge your happiness on like whether or not the next time they need a real estate agent, they call you, which they most likely will, right? But I'm sure you've had cases where, man, I took care of that guy. I can't believe he went and used. Yeah.
But you have to absolutely
but it's like
be
your
unattached.
Personal happiness will be destroyed if you have an attachment to the giving. I think is my experience, and I've done both.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, Lee Brower, you should listen to that podcast.
I'll pull it up.
It's good. He's like, so if you give and they don't give anything back, and you're upset about that, were you giving to give, or were you giving like
to get?
Like you weren't really giving then.
Yeah.
Like you're giving because you wanted, not because you were.
And I love that he talked about like if you give and maybe they didn't express their gratitude for you giving. They may have had gratitude for you giving, but they didn't express it. And then you go to somebody else and be like, dude, can you believe this? I gave River shoes and he never said anything to me. Yeah. And then they go to somebody like, River's a douche, and they're probably right, but it's, no, I'm just kidding. But like, then you spread all this negativity simply out of some insecurity within you of like, I gave, and then instead of being a positive, I turned it into a negative ripple across people's lives.
Dude, good point.
Because you had some expectation of how the giving was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So
well, I think the last or another thought is you're placing the value on people instead of the money. It's like the money's kind of a byproduct. It'll come, but it's like the real value. The older I get, the more I realize it's like relationships are what is the most important.
100%.
Like money's obviously important. I think it's obvious. I think about money. I care about money. But like at the end of the day, we were talking on the way up to Salt Lake yesterday about like all these things that we have going on right now is because of people that he knows or I know, and it's like just networking and getting to know people. It's like that's the real value. And if we're just short-term thinking of just how do I get a little bit of money from this person or get from this person, you're tarnishing those relationships, and you're not going to be able to build the business that you did if you just always thought that way, so short-term.
Exactly.
When you first started working with that guy. What is it like for you now? Like, what are you wanting to build now? Like, your biggest why is to grow, to reach your potential, so you can give more. Is there like, because you do a lot of things. Like I don't understand all the stuff that you do actually, because it is real estate, but it's like you also own like part of. I don't know. Talk to me about like the other stuff that you're building.
Yeah, we created, through our Remax brokerage, just a separate company that owns the Remax. It owns the title company. It owns the lending company. So anytime you go to get a loan, the lending company, and then also an insurance company. And we started that really kind of as like a brainchild on how to help the agents, one, sell more real estate, and two, have some sort of a retirement or some sort of extra bucket of money, because there's a lot of real estate agents that don't own rental properties or they don't do those extra things, So it was just kind of an idea that kind of started with me, and then my friend, and who was the broker at the time, really took it to like the 10th level, right? And it's something that we've been building, but basically it's to where you can have shares in these companies and get paid dividends off of people that go through all of the companies together, which is great. It's not a kickback. It's a different way of doing it, so that like I can't get paid on you getting a loan, but I can get share dividends on the entire company giving out shares. So it's something that we created that's been really awesome for the real estate agents, because the transaction has always started with the real estate agent. Yeah. The real estate agent gets the client, and then they get under contract on a house. They need a loan. They need title. Then they get homeowners insurance, right? So, and we've never gotten paid for it.
Yeah, the agent's driving all the revenue through.
Exactly. We get taken out, by a lender to go golf. Yeah. Or we get taken out by a title company.
They bring you donuts.
The marketer comes and takes you to lunch, and that's what it's always been. And this has created like a family, and it's better for the client, because the client, one, gets a better deal. I know our lending company is the best, and we will always beat anyone. So they're getting a better product, and it's almost a one-stop shop. So they can go and get everything, and I know that those people are going to be taken care of. My clients are going to be taken care of, because if they're not, I get to go to those people and say, hey, you messed up on this. Yeah. And I get to help pull strings, where if I'm just sending them to XYZ lending company, I don't have as much control.
Yeah.
So it's been a cool thing that we've been working on, and we've been really, we started it about 5, almost 6 years ago.
Wow.
And it's kind of taken shape, which has been awesome.
Is that what fires you up the most right now, or what fires you up?
That for sure. That fires me up. I'm really excited about where that can go, and what that can do for the industry, because I've seen how it's been really good for my career, and it helps other people's lives too. The lenders that have come over to our company have killed it.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing thing because, we have over 250 agents from northern Utah to southern Utah that are part of this, which is awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's been really cool, and we're working with other brokerages in other states where we're building it even further because they've noticed us. So it's been a fun thing to work on.
That's sweet.
For sure, which is awesome.
That's rad.
But yeah, I mean, one other thing that like really fires me up that like I really want to do at some point, and I want you to hold me accountable to this because I want to do it within the next 10 years, is I want to give away a condo. I want to give away a house really bad. I want to own a house, whether I buy it as a flip, whatever it might be, and I want to give it away. Whether somebody wants to live there or it be their first rental property or whatever it is, that is like a burning desire I have.
Really?
Within the next 10 years, I want to give away a house for sure, 100%. I don't know how, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it, and I really am excited about it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So like one day I'm going to get there, but that's one thing that's kind of pushing me as well.
That's sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming down here.
Yeah.
I love talking to you.
Same.
Appreciate you. And I'm telling you, anybody that's listening to this podcast, if you need a real estate agent or a title guy or a mortgage guy,
the whole thing,
or insurance, whatever you need, or if you just want some gifts, reach out to Rodger Jessop on Instagram, and he'll ask for your address and shoot you over something. So, but no, dude, seriously, thank you for your time, and thank you guys for listening. I think it's Utah Home. What's your real estate Instagram, and what's your
Realtor Rodger?
Realtor Rodger.
Yep, Realtor Rodger.
Cool.
Yep.
Any final words?
Rodger is with a D, and it's a big one.
It's a big D. Rodger with a big D. Little truck. No final words. Just thanks, man. I always enjoy being around you.
Same, likewise. Yep. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Nameless Podcast. Be positive and confident in all that you do. Most importantly, go be abundant. Peace and love. Bye-bye.